Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today's video we're taking a look at Banette EX, which is a brand new EX that was revealed in the full reveal of the Scarlet EX and Violet EX sets from Japan. It's one of my favorite cards that was revealed. I just like the dynamic of it and how the card kind of complements itself. And it's a very tricky deck. This is an energy denial deck. You're just trying to be as annoying as possible while you kind of like build up damage on your opponent's board, and then eventually your deck just goes boom, and you just take a bunch of knockouts really quickly with the powerful attack on Banette. But let's just get right into the deck list, starting off with, of course, Shuppet, because Banette does actually have to evolve now because it is an EX. So 4 copies of Shuppet, and the Shuppet actually is not that bad. Extremely usable attack. It has the Wrapped in Shadows attack for a single psychic energy, deals 10 damage, and then you flip a coin, and if it's heads, your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand during their next turn. So having item lock on a coin flip on your evolving Pokemon is honestly super nice. That if you just go second, you just have that 50-50 shot to start your item locking early. And I say item locking early because the Banette EX itself actually does do some item locking. We have 3 copies of Banette EX, and it has the Eternal Darkness attack, which for a singular psychic energy deals 30 damage, and then your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand during their next turn. Obviously, super disruptive. We've seen item lock be good in the past with Seismitoad EX, and now Vikavolt has been running rampage in regionals recently. And Eternal Darkness is kind of like the successor to that. It is a stage 1, not a basic, but you do get access to super powerful Poltergeist second attack. For Psychic Careless, your opponent reveals their hand, you deal 60 damage for each trainer card you find there. Now the thing about this Banette is actually does have 250 HP, which is a little bit low, considering in the context of V-Stars and of other stage 1 EXs. There's Arcane EX, which has 280 HP, and then Gyarados EX, which has 300 HP. So 250, a little bit low, but when you're denying your opponent energy and item locking them, hopefully that low HP will not matter as much. We're actually playing 2 copies of another Banette. This is going to be the Puppet Offering one from Lost Origin that you lost on the Banette, and then you get a supporter back from your discard pile. And since you're already playing 4 Shuppet anyway, it's honestly really nice to have this option to consistently spam Judge, spam the Energy Denial supporter that we got in this set. And yeah, it does remove a Shuppet from play, like you can't get access to it again, but we don't play any Pokemon cover anyway, because we just want to slow down the pace of the game and make so our opponent takes as few knockouts as possible, or at least they take knockouts when we want them to. And then we have a 1/1 copy, or 1 line of a new EX. This is going to be Spidops EX, which has the ability that says when it's in play, your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost is 8 colors more. This is going to be really nice for annoying the decks that you're trying to utilize Celebrations Mew. That says look at the top 6 cards of your deck, find an item card, making that retreat cost of 1 into retreat cost of 2 is nice because they Mew decks will usually be playing Beach Court, which actually reduces that retreat cost by 1. So if you can just basically like cancel out the Beach Court, make it a little bit harder for that Mew to retreat, and you're playing Crushing Hammers already, so you're Crushing Hammer their energy off of the Mew or off the Pokemon that they're trying to attach to on the bench, then the Spidops can be really annoying for those decks. Then we have 2 more Pokemon, 1 copy of Lumineon V, to search out a supporter card. We played lots of draw supporters already, but having Lumineon there to search it out. And then the last Pokemon is 1 copy of Radiant Alakazam. This card actually has a pretty nice attack in addition to the ability. The ability is really what it's here for. The Painful Swoon is allowing you to, once in your turn, move up to 2 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another. This basically is so while you're hitting this something, like if you're getting something stuck in active with the Eternal Darkness attack on Banette, item locking them, and it's stuck in the active because you're denying them energy, you can actually move that damage to the Pokemon you actually need damage on to try and soften it up for a Poltergeist knockout later. But actually, the Mind Blow attack is pretty decent too, dealing 20 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. And when they're like not being able to place item cards, it's going to be a decent single prize attacker. Obviously Poltergeist is probably going to be better in most situations, but having this as a single prize option is not that bad either. Going with supporter cards, we have 4 copies of Professor's Research, obviously, and then 4 copies of Judge. And it's because we're just trying to be a annoying deck, just as annoying as possible. Disrupting our opponent's hand, getting rid of their energies. And Judge obviously is the best disruption supporter. that is going to be in the post-rotation format. We're playing 4 of them just so we can spam the judge. Like I said, you can get back the judge with Banette to play it even more. You're really just trying to stick your opponent with a bad hand off the judge while item locking them. That's kind of the idea. Then we have 3 copies of Boss's Orders, which is going to be useful if we want to try and trap things in the active. While we build up damage and then move it to the Pokemon we want with Alakazam. But also, we are in a deck. We are a deck that does decent amounts of damage, and so you can just kind of have aggressive Boss Orders to come knock something out as well. Then we have 2 copies of a new supporter card. This is going to be the Team Star Grunt, and it's like Team Yell Grunt, but it's a little bit worse and a little bit better at the same time. The Team Star Grunt says, take an energy attached to your opponent's added Pokemon and put it on top of their deck. Now, the thing about Team Yell Grunt is that Team Yell Grunt went to their hand, but it was off of any Pokemon. And the thing about the Team Star Grunt, it does only remove it from the active Pokemon. However, it puts it onto the top of the deck, which means your opponent's not going to have an option of a top deck to draw for turn that maybe draw out of, like I was saying, you're spamming Judge. Maybe they're not going to have the option to draw out of a Judge hand that you gave them. While you're item locking them, so it can not only remove energy but also take away a top deck that your opponent might desperately need when you're item locking them and putting them on a low hand size. And then finally, 1 copy of Cheryl, and this is because, like I mentioned, we kind of a low HP, but being able to just heal up a little bit if your opponent is chipping away at you can be nice. And since your attack only just costs 1 energy, it's really easy to utilize Cheryl. You can get back to Cheryl with Banette again as well. So if you want to share multiple times, that's also possible. Going on item cards, 4 copies of Fog Crystal. Obviously, because we want to get consistent energy attachment and searching out our Shuppets and such. Then we have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, because this is the only way we're actually going to have to search out our Banette EX. And Banette EX obviously is really, really important. So we have the 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Fog Crystal, and then 4 copies of Crushing Hammer. Like I was mentioning, kind of a deck that just aims to control your opponent's board as much as possible. And when you're item locking them, getting rid of their energies can be a hassle for them to deal with to actually get up and attacking you. Then we have 4 copies of Trekking Shoes, so we can draw through our deck. Because I was finding I was bricking a lot with this, but Trekking Shoes made it possible for me to more consistently find judges, find researches, etc. And then we have 2 copies of Nest Ball, which is getting a reprint searching a deck directly for basic. This can get out the Torountula to evolve into the Spidops. Get out just a Shuppet if you don't have Fog Crystal. Can get out Radiant Alakazam. This is a lot of utility. And then 2 copies of Switch. So we can switch between our Pokemon. If you start like the Torountula, which is not a very good starter. If you start the Radiant Alakazam, that's a pretty bad starter. It has a 2 retreat cost. Then you can just, if you find that switch, just switch right into your Banette, start item locking. Then we have 1 final item card, which is going to be this new item card. Or a tool card, I should say, because tool cards are now their own class of tool cards. And it's going to be I think it's called Competitive Band, that attached, obviously it's a tool, so you attach 2 Pokemon, but when you're behind on prizes, it makes that Pokemon's attacks deal 30 more damage. And since you're doing such low damage with the Banette, once your opponent does knock out your Banette, this can be really nice for either dealing 60 damage with your item lock or buffing that Poltergeist attack just a little bit more, trying to hopefully compete with the pressure your opponent's putting on by knocking out that Banette. Then we have Stadium cards, and this is one of the, I think, enablers kind of this energy denial strategy is Old Cemetery, because not only are you item locking them and removing their energy, you're also punishing them for attaching their energy to their non-psychic Pokemon. So if you're removing their energy, item locking them, they're like, oh, I really need to do something or else I'm just going to lose this game because you're just going to build up damage and move it around with Alakazam. But if they attach the energies to the Pokemon that isn't psychic, they do take 20 damage, which will help you for obviously taking KOs with the Poltergeist, because the Poltergeist attack is a little bit weak. Kind of the whole idea of this deck is just to stall for as much time as possible while you set up numbers and then just kind of sweep with Poltergeist in the latter half of the game. And that is going to be the stadiums are now going into energy, going to be 8 psychic energy. Some things I did try in this deck are I tried Ace Rola's Premonition. I think that's what it's called. Look at your opponent's hand and draw a card for each trainer card there. But it's just super weak draw supporter. Even though item locking them, it still was not good enough. But yeah, the thing about Ace Rolla though is that it let you play Mimikyu VMAX, which is potentially a good option. Is that Mimikyu V attacking Mimikyu V into the Mimikyu VMAX is potentially still decent if you want to try that out. But having the Ace Rolls premonition there was just, instead of research, was just like really, really bad. And that's the list. There's a couple other things I have in mind for this Banette that I want to try out. Those will hopefully be future videos. But yeah, I just really like this Banette card. I think it's a really cool and interesting card. I'm excited to play around with it. Hopefully it's good. I'm crossing my fingers that it's good because I really enjoy this card. I think it's a really cool design. But that's going to be for the video, guys. If you guys liked it, don't forget to leave a like. If you guys want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.